Welcome to Dinny Dabbles, the show where I like to talk about my thoughts and experiences on cosplay, art, and more while I try and make up for a character that I've never done before. In this video, I am going to be talking about photo editing, how I like to do it, and is there such a thing as taking it too far or editing too much. Also, I'm going to be doing a cosplay trial for the wonderful Gaige from Borderlands. Let's go! Yay, logo time! Woo! So let's start by answering the question, what is it? Cosplay photo editing is basically editing cosplay photos in any way possible, whether it's editing a character into a background, like a landscape from a film or something, or retouching the cosplayer's skin or face or hair, wig, whatever, or even like incorporating other photos or CGI into that cosplay photo. So yeah. And there are a bunch of different tools that people use to edit photos. So there are softwares on the computer like Lightroom, Photoshop, and there are even photo editors on phones now, like Visco, I don't know how to say that, and stuff. So now, before we really dive into it, let me just come clean. I hate photo editing. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate when photos are edited. That's fine, that's magical, do it. But I personally hate when I am the one doing the photo editing. I think it just stems from the fact that I'm a very, very lazy post-processor. Like, I've always enjoyed the pre-production stages of anything more, whether it's the pre-prod of like a film or a theater production that I've produced back in the day, or even like my thesis. Or even my thesis in college, I had a lot more fun doing the research part. And even for cosplay, I love taking the time to make the costume and do the makeup and stuff like that. So yeah, when I edit my photos, I literally just play around with the sharpness, the brightness, sometimes the contrast if I'm feeling fancy, the saturation, and that's it. That's it. That's the limit of energy that I am willing to put in editing a cosplay photo of mine. Luckily, my partner is amazing at editing cosplay photos. He just dropped some. Luckily, my partner is amazing at editing cosplay photos. He edits almost all of mine, and he knows how to really make one part of the costume stand out, brighten up my features, take away some flyaway hairs or fabric that's folding the wrong way, and most of all, color grading it properly. So he's really good at that. Like recently, he edited the scleras of my Molly Moth cosplay, and I was actually supposed to wear contacts for it. I was going to wear mini fully red scleras, and then he just, matched the rest of my eye that's peeking out from the contact. But my eyes just did not want to accept any kind of contact lens that day. And so he had to masterfully edit it afterwards, which was obviously amazing. I think a lot of people were asking if I was actually wearing scleras, but it was all editing. Thank you to my partner. So if I hate editing so much, why am I here talking about it? Well, I feel like there's a lot of controversy. When it comes to photo editing, and it's not just in the cosplay community. It's even in real life, and I think it has a lot to do with us being in the age of social media and whatnot, which is a whole nother Dinny Dabbles to talk about. If you want me to talk about my relationship with social media, which is not great. Anyway, but yeah, so I wanted to talk about that in this Dinny Dabbles, because I remember seeing a tweet about the celebrity's photo being edited or whatever, and it was such a minor edit. And people were really going against this celebrity. Now, I don't remember who the celebrity was because I wasn't familiar with that celebrity. But when I saw it, I started thinking about, some of my friends or like cosplayers that I know who edit their photos and get a lot of hate on it, which is like, why? And it's not just cosplayers, but cosplay photographers as well. And I think the stigma of the issue comes from the fact that not we, because I'm a cosplayer, but a lot of people, whether you're new to cosplaying or you're not a cosplayer, you're a fan of just a cosplayer or even just a fan of geekness in general, don't really understand what goes into editing a photo, like what it means to edit photos for the cosplayer and the cosplay photographer. And honestly, I think there are two important things we need to remember when it comes to editing photos for cosplay. Yeah, that made sense. I look like a mess right now, but I'm like repping for the fun, like artsy stuff that are going into like the Borderland characters, because they got like really graphic faces, which I love. A little dark, but it's gonna get dark. Anyway, number one, photo editing is used as an amazing tool to help bring characters to life. Basically, it's just another process in the whole like cosplay things to do, It's like putting on a wig, it's like doing your makeup, it's part of the process. Now, if you aren't a cosplayer or you're not a cosplay photographer, it might be a little hard to understand. Often I see like these negative comments coming from people who are just fans of like the thing the cosplayer is cosplaying from and not necessarily fellow cosplayers. And there's absolutely nothing wrong just being like a casual fan. But I think we have to take the time to realize that, this is all a craft and there is a lot of work that goes into it. So before you like want to leave a negative comment on a cosplayer or cosplay photographer's photo, or even think that like the cosplayer is lying to you or catfishing you, I think that's the term, I'm not sure. Just because they look incredibly different like in person and in cosplay. Well, give it a second thought, because the whole point of cosplay is that they are trying to look like someone else, so of course they're not gonna look the same. And when it comes to editing, take it as something that they've added on as a piece of their art, because in the end, like these cosplays and these cosplay photographers are all just making like their own pieces of art, albeit in a very different medium that you'd probably see in most art and stuff like that. But the final photo, after the post-processing, after doing the photo shoot, doing the makeup, making the costume, etc., is ultimately a piece of art that is created by the collaborative efforts of everyone involved, whether you're a cosplayer that's shooting and editing by yourself, or you're a cosplayer who works with like a photographer, an editor, and etc. Which brings us to important number two. Important number two? Huh? Which brings us to the important... What is it? Which brings us to important point number two. Everyone has different preferences on everything. I mean, we're all different people. We all like our own things. And, we shouldn't forget that cosplay is a form of artistic expression. Each cosplayer or cosplay photographer is basically an artist. And, like artists who are illustrators, they may approach a portrait, for example, that they're making in many different ways. The first artist maybe likes to do like hyperrealism and uses like, let's say, charcoal and all these cool things. But, maybe the second artist likes to do it in like a manga style and use like a lot of inks and then the screen thingies, the one in the manga, like the shading style, I forgot what it's called. Anyway, it's the exact same when it comes to cosplayers. So each cosplayer and cosplay photographer are artists, and the approach may be different. One person may want to interpret the character to be like highly accurate. So for example, this character is like a 2D character and they want their skin to be completely flawless, their makeup is very like cartoonish, like huge eyes, little tiny features, etc. But the other person may want to interpret it in a way where they want to make their cosplay as if that character was like in the real world. So imagine if like your favorite anime character got teleported like right next to you, like how would they look? What are the textures in their skin? What are the textures in their hair, etc.? So they'd look more natural in a sense and not so cartoony. And you know, one is not more correct than the other, right? It's just two different ways of doing it. And I think a good example of this in editing is like my own purpose. It's a little off. No, oh yeah, wait, 1 second. There we go. Okay, anyway, back to it. And I think a really good example when it comes to editing is my own preference. I really love skin texture, and that's like in anything, even in like animation and stuff. Whenever I see good skin texture, I'm like, wow. And so when it comes to my cosplay photos, I think of that as well. Yeah, this is a good one. And for me, I really like it when my skin's texture is seen regardless of the cosplay. Like even if I'm doing like a cutesy whoopsie anime character, I still like seeing the skin texture on my photos. And there are some people who don't, you know. There are some people who prefer to have like flawless skin in their cosplays. And again, one is not more correct than the other. It's simply a preference. And you know, these preferences, the reasons behind it when it comes to like the editing process can be absolutely anything from like the desire to be accurate to just liking how it looks. And even, you know, this cosplayer is like not super confident with their skin, or they're having a bad skin day, or like in my Molly-Maw cosplay, could not wear contacts because it was gonna ruin the makeup while trying to put it on because I'd be like crying every second. So there are like many reasons behind it, and I think if we just take time to like understand that as well and just be more open, then I don't think we'd have a lot of these like controversies and stuff. So is there a point where I think that, you know, cosplay editing becomes wrong or bad? No, but also yes. So I don't think that it can be wrong because I don't think the process of it can ever be wrong, you know? We all have different ways of editing our photos, you know, like I said, references and all, and there's not one way to do it. You know, you can edit your cosplay photos any way you want using any program or software that you're used to and etc. But I think that it can be bad or wrong when there is like a malicious intention behind the editing. So for example, someone is claiming someone else's work for their own, like maybe editing their face onto a photo or something like that. Or, you know, creating any kind of offensive material through editing that would contribute to things like racism, sexism, and body shaming. So, you know, don't create things to hurt others, essentially. And if you are working with a cosplayer on editing their photo, make sure to communicate properly. I think that is like the one thing you really need to do, because you want to know what they're comfortable with, what they're comfortable with editing, what they maybe want to remove from the photo, or what they want to fix. For example, their wig might have been a little messed up, so they'll ask you to fix it a bit and stuff like that. So yeah, make sure to communicate during the editing process, as well as, you know, during all the other processes in case you're also the photographer and such. Now, if you're editing your own photos, don't be afraid to ask for a second opinion if you're like a little hesitant on how you edited it. And also just be proud of what you made. Like, I am very proud of my photo edits even though I barely do anything. And you should be too. So I am not done with the makeup yet because there's a lot to do. I just need to add all the graphic elements actually. Then I'm gonna put on my contacts and put on my wig. And then we will wrap this Dinny Dabbles up. I hope that you had a good time. Wait, why am I saying that? It's not the outro yet. Okay, I'll be back. Bye! So there we go. This is my makeup trial for Gaige from Borderlands. I've always wanted to try doing a Borderlands character because I thought the makeup was gonna be so much fun. And I did have so much fun doing this. Will I cosplay a Borderlands character one day? Maybe? Yeah? Let me know who you think I should cosplay. Should I continue with Gaige? Which, by the way, this is a trial. Ignore the lack of a costume and like super inaccurate accessories and wig. I mean, the wig is kinda there, but this is like my Caleb Critical Role wig or like my Beth Harmon from the Queen's Gambit wig, so it's not meant to be for Gaige. But yeah, so anyway, in conclusion, photo editing is just part of the process when it comes to cosplay, and just like every other part of cosplay, everyone has their own way of doing it. There's no wrong way as long as you're not hurting anyone, and you may have your own preferences that are different from other people. And that's really just it. So the takeaway is edit and cosplay the way that you want to. Be happy, do your own thing, and don't hurt others. So what are your preferences when it comes to photo editing? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to, you can like the video, or you can subscribe or share or whatever. Really, I don't know your life. You just do what you want, and have a great day, have a great night, have a great whatever time it is, and don't forget to always practice empathy. Bye! It's fun. I'm gonna have to eat dinner like this. It's gonna be weird. Hold on. Bye!